Hello everybody. This week I'm going to start building my version of the final project that you can feel free to mirror. So if you recall, in week 14 we had created the CRD. This sets up our project. So what I'm going to do is just build the tables right in front of you, and we'll just leave that as the movie. So right now I'm going to separate my section here, and we'll grab the easiest tables. I want to make sure that you see some of the best practices things that I will do in this because it's important. We want to make sure that if you look at all these, I can actually select all and just drop. I don't think I need anything else here. So I'm going to go ahead and drop these tables, and I'll click yes. And let's make sure we drop this one too. So one thing that I like to do with a project like this is create a prefix for each one of the tables. So the first table, and this is, remember I'm doing a recipe site. Recipe is a good generic type thing that can be applied for a final project like this, especially if you guys want to come up with your own topics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this rec_users. And I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of tables like this. Here's rec users, and I've got an ID, integer 5, and we'll do username, and we'll do variable character 255, and we'll go ahead and do a primary key with an auto increment, and then we'll go ahead and just create this table. So now I've got one. So now that I have this prefix, let's say I had a very busy table with, let's say, a very busy database with hundreds of tables, I'll have all my tables grouped. So the next thing is going to be we'll deal with the client side first. So the recipes. Okay, I want to see, remember how this is going to work. It's not the users who post recipes, it's just the users who comment, okay? So I'm going to create a table called REC recipes now. And so I'll click on the database, and we'll do REC_recipes. And this one will be just 3 fields. And with my stuff, I really like to have everything lowercase, as I just said, but minimal as possible. So this will be ID, and I tend to make all my ID fields called ID. And in this case, I'm going to do the same primary key right there. Click go, and we'll do another auto increment. And we'll do a recipe title. Now, could your table structure deviate from this? Absolutely, absolutely. If you feel comfortable and confident, go right ahead and do it. I am requiring that this be, normalized as any database professor would. Now notice that my description is going to be text instead of varchar. This is nothing but more than a review than what we've done in class, but that would allow up to 65,000 characters, which I think is enough for a recipe. So I'm clicking Save now. And again, I'm working client-side only, meaning I want to handle what my users are doing. So the next table, and I'm clicking on the database again, will be called REC_comments. And I'm creating this pattern so that when I write my code, I don't have to think too much. All my IDs are called ID. I'm not going to overthink it because I know I'm going to make plenty of mistakes when I code this. So this right here is going to be 4 columns, and this is what's going to connect comment to recipe or user to recipe. Okay? So comments right here, let's do the ID first. We'll do ID, integer, primary, and then I'm going to do auto increment. And then I'm going to do my user ID, which will be borrowed, user ID, and we'll do 5. And notice how I have InnoDB. That means I can do foreign key checks on this. I'll do comment. This will be text because it could be a long comment. And then lastly, I'll have recipe ID. In some ways, this is almost third normal form, but it really isn't, because the only thing I'm holding is The only thing unique holding is the comment, but that makes it not a third normal form. But it is a connecting form that will connect user ID with comment and recipe ID. So that's my comments table. So let's do the IP addresses. So I'm going to do recipe underscore IP address. And this should be pretty simple. But this takes care of the requirement that each customer only has one comment per IP address. And that is by post, by the way. That means that I can comment on numerous posts, but only one post gets an IP address entry. So anyway, I'm going to do user ID now. And again, I'm deviating away from, you see how it says user ID here? This is borrowed, it's not primary. And so I'm going to deviate away from the ID. And this is the comment ID right here. ID. And this is the IP address themselves. Now, do I need a fourth? No, I really don't. This is a holder table right here. So I'll do 5, 5, and 5. I do this just for consistency, but really that just means I can have this many users in my table. So, is it small? Yeah, it is. I just like the idea of teaching you how to do it. What would I do normally? I like 10 with the hope that my product gets big and famous. Because 10 digits is a heck of a lot of users. Okay, so we've got the whole front side set up. Now the admin doesn't have anything to do with the front side, so now we can do that last. Admin, and I'm going to immediately go in and add my username and password. So this will be, there's only one admin. I do not need a primary key. I need username and password here. And both will be variable characters. And now when I go to my structure here, I have all my tables that I need for my project. I don't want to make it any more complicated than that, but if you want, what you can do is go into Designer and start connecting these as we did in the first part of class, where we're connecting the keys to the addresses. I'm going to skip that for now because I just want to get going with this project. But now I have my database structure ready, and it's important to know because it is the very first step when I create a project. I do this before I do a wireframe. I do it before I do anything. Anyway, if there are any questions on this, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's going to be a series of videos in the next week and week 15 and 16 showing a lot of process. Okay, and we can come back to this and create those foreign keys when we're ready to launch. But right now, all I want to do is as I was saying, all I want to do is get my table structure finished and get something set up so that you can get started and hopefully work on your project based on what I've done.